Hello lever fanatics. This is just a quick video to answer a question that I received. And that was, if you're looking at a lever machine like the Ponte Vecchio Lusso, should you spend a few $100s more and get the double, the one with the two brew heads, or the single? Now the single machine looks just like this. It's actually exactly the same size, same components. The only thing is instead of two pistons, you have just one, or one group head right in the middle. And the machine looks great. It works just the same as this one does, and it's about a couple of $100s less. So the question really is, do you need it? Do I use it? I'm gonna have to answer no. You don't need two. I thought it would be nice to have two. I kind of imagined myself pulling shots left and right, serving guests. The reality is, the pulling of the shot isn't what slows you down. It's pretty much everything else. The grinding, the distribution, the tamping, having enough baskets, being able to empty baskets. So I find simply having one group head would be sufficient. And in fact, when I use this machine, as you probably noticed from the videos, I tend to use this left side group head. And I have to actually make a conscious effort to use the right, because I actually sort of want them to wear evenly, and I don't want this one to be neglected, which is a really easy way to ruin a machine, is to not use it. Actually, by using it, keeping it lubricated with the water inside, moving the parts around so they don't freeze or get stuck, is a really good way to keep your machine in tip-top shape. So a short answer is no, you don't need two. I kind of like the looks of two, and I will say there is one really big advantage of having two, and that is if something goes wrong with one of your group heads. If the seals fail or something, it can happen. That's probably the most common thing. Not much else can happen, but pretty much a seal failure, which would mean water would be leaking, which means you'd have to change the seal. Now, if you have all the tools and you have the extra seals, you could do that in 10, 15 minutes. But if you don't, it's nice to have a second group head that you can work on. Now, there's a couple of things if you do get the two group Ponte Vecchio Lusso you should know. One is that you have to use the groups in kind of an order. If you use the left side first and you lock this in, and remember when you lock it in, you're really locking the portafilter all the way around, it actually blocks locking in the second one. So if you are planning to use both of them, one right after the other, make sure you remember to use the right side first, then use the left side for your second shot, and then of course you have to remove it in the same way. There have been a couple of times where I've wanted to use two, and just because of habit, I tend to use the left more. I use the left and then block my portafilter from going in. So, you know, a tiny little thing. Not that much different in terms of performance. I find that both of the springs and levers are set very similar, so it's possible this one might have a slightly stronger spring, although it could also be I just don't use it as much, so this one gets a little more wear, but nothing that affects the flavor of coffee. Nothing that would make me change the way that I use it. And in fact, in videos, I'll try to switch them up. I'll try to start moving back and forth more between the two, just so that you can see them in action. But anyway, just wanted to answer that quick question about whether you really need to have two. I guess it kind of makes you look a little more like a cafe, maybe, than a single one. But I actually think the single one looks great as well. And if you can save a couple $100s on the single group head Ponte Vecchio Lusso, go for that. It's not really necessary to have the second one. Anyway, hope you guys are having some good coffee out there. Please leave any questions or comments below. Would love to hear your questions and be able to answer them on future videos. And as always, remember, the best espresso will be the one that you pour.